Now, mobile surveillance for private investigators can be very challenging at times. You have to worry about a lot of things. There are tons of thoughts popping into your mind, and you have to stay focused as well. Try to plan ahead. One of the biggest worries is, will I get burned? Burned or made, if you will, is one of the worst things that can happen on mobile surveillance. Getting burned almost assuredly means the gig is up. The case is over. The subject has seen your car. The subject has most likely seen your face, and the client is probably not going to be happy. Along with getting burned is losing the subject during mobile surveillance. While you are on the follow, you are at a huge disadvantage usually. You do not know where the subject is going. You do not know what route they're going to take. You do not know their driving habits. Are they driving normally? Do they usually drive this fast? Do they usually drive this slow? Oh, so many questions will be scrambling up there in your mind. The biggest thing you must do is to stay calm and follow on. First, let's talk about taking notes while conducting mobile surveillance. I do not recommend for you to try to write things down while you're driving. This can be very dangerous for everybody. And trying to write down notes at stoplights can be noticeable, and it can make you miss the light change, which can make you stand out as well. One thing that I try to do on mobile surveillance is to take notes verbally. You can use several pieces of technology to do this. Often, I'll just hit the record button on my camera, which is sitting in the seat right next to me. Then I can start talking. He's heading on I-25 North, 56th Avenue East over to Washington. Then he went up north to the clinic. Something quick, something simple, and then I hit the record button to shut it off. I know this means more video, but I can easily identify those little bits and I can edit them out. And I have my verbal notes right there when I'm editing the video and writing my report. But if that doesn't work, then I can use a little digital voice recorder for taking my verbal notes. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. A nice thing with a digital recorder, the recording is often in something like an MP3 or a WAV file. And many times you can use special software to turn that into text for you. So if you have longer notes, it's really nice to have that all typed up. Having a digital voice recorder is also really nice for those instances where you go on foot surveillance. But there's yet another piece of technology that you probably have with you all of the time that you can do the same thing with. Yep, your cell phone. You can get an app for recording audio notes. Just make sure that that app icon is easy for you to get to. Then you can just use it when you need it. A good advantage for that is you can usually set those up to backup on the cloud. So then that recording is at your fingertips when you're sitting at your computer. Now, what methods do you use to take notes while you are out on surveillance? I would really like to know. Go down in the comments below and tell me, what are your note-taking methodologies? Watching ahead during mobile surveillance is huge, folks. You need to be looking out for stoplights, slow down points, constructions, and any other obstacles to your follow. Let's first discuss stoplights. The worst ones are those several all in a row stoplights, like every block or every 2 blocks. Those are a huge pain in the butt. These lights will get you every time. You may make it through the first one, but the one that's just a block away or on the alley or on a crosswalk just beyond that light turns red, the subject drives through, now you are stuck, and it may only be 30 seconds that you're stuck, but it will seem like an eternity. Keep an eye out for traffic lights ahead of your subject, not just ahead of you. I usually try to close the gap as I approach traffic lights. It may seem aggressive, but watch normal traffic, folks. Most people accelerate a little as they approach a traffic light. Nobody wants to get stopped at one. Now, don't gun it. Don't draw attention to yourself. Just slowly close that gap. So if he makes it through the red light, you can make it too. Slow down points during mobile surveillance are a huge thing to keep an eye out for too. Watching for major intersections, bridges and overpasses, upcoming exits, toll roads, and that kind of a thing that can make a huge separation between you and your subject during the follow. You need to be keeping an eye out for those. Now, there is no set rule to these obstacles. You just need to be watching ahead of your subject for them so you have ample time to adjust and make decisions prior to getting to them. Sometimes these type of obstacles will mean you just have to get as close to your subject vehicle as possible. Not bumper to bumper, but directly behind him to ensure that you do not lose him. Multiple turn lane intersections are a huge pain too. If you have, let's say, 2 left lanes that turn, often That far right turn lane may be a turn left or go straight lane. The same can apply to 2 or 3 lanes that are going to the right. Often that far left one is a go straight or a turn right. My biggest advice on these is to stay behind your subject so you can go the way they go. If I am in this situation and my subject has a turn signal on, I do not turn on my signal. I do this just in case he accidentally turned it on and he actually goes straight. I don't want to get noticed by doing the same thing, and it seems half the drivers out there anyway today don't use their signals. Toll roads are a fun part of mobile surveillance too, folks. Some toll roads accept payment right there at the entrance or at the exit, and some have some type of a device that you can get and you can put on your car and it charges your account. And some use your license plate to send a bill to you, and some, or most these days, have some combination of all of these methods. Now, here in Colorado, it's nice because you either have the account sticker in your window, then you get a bit of a discount, or they grab your license plate and they send you a bill that way. There used to be pay booths every so many miles and pay booths at every exit. Pay booths were a huge problem because you just don't know how the subject is going to be paying. If they're paying cash and you have one of those transponder things, you go on while they are just sitting there at the pay booth. I would suggest you anticipate each of these ahead of time in this situation, and you can slow down well before the booth and then wait for him to catch up to you after he pays. Now, if he has the express pay transponder thingamajigger and you don't, and the toll does not send a bill according to your license plate, you are in a pickle to be sure. You will have to pull over at every booth, dig for some loose change, get some cash out, get a card, make that payment before you can go on. And trust me, he's probably not going to be slowing down and waiting for you to catch up. I would suggest that you get an account for whatever toll road payment system there is in your area. I know some people don't like those things stuck to their windshield. Some PIs think that they may make them more noticeable, but I think the benefit far outweighs the risk. You also usually get a discount for having those, so it saves you and your client some dollars. When you do get to the destination point for your subject, you need to quickly locate a place to park. The sooner you can park, the more opportunity you have to obtain video, observe where he goes, see where he parks, and go on foot surveillance if needed. Many times I will scout out the handicap parking places. These are ideal to get quickly into and set up and grab a little bit of video really quick. Now, I'm not suggesting you break any laws. I'm just telling you what I've done in the past. And in all honesty, I do have a handicap placard for my car, so it's all fair game. Now, I wouldn't use a handicap spot if my subject uses one, though. That might be too close of proximity for comfort, unless you can get one a couple parking rows over. Sometimes I will just pull over a little bit and park if there is room and wave cars around me. I can then grab some video of the subject or let my dash cam or my covert camera set on my dash get the video as he walks right past me. Probably the biggest thing to make sure that you know when they park is where they parked. This will allow you to get a good setup to obtain more video when they return to the vehicle and have a good follow position so the chase can continue. Okay, let's now discuss the actual follow. We know we need to keep our eyes peeled for obstacles and such ahead of our subject. We should also, as soon as possible during the chase, identify something or some things on the rear of the subject's vehicle that may help us in quick identification. If you lose visual sight of your subject's vehicle, even if for a few seconds, it is crucial that you are able to quickly identify the car when you get a chance. If you're approaching an exit on a freeway with 30 cars exiting, is that her car in the mess? If you know some of those identifying marks, it makes it a lot easier. You can't always see the license plate, folks. Now, speaking of license plates, keep this in mind too. A quick bonus for you here, folks. Most states have some county or other regional identifiers set in the license plate number. For instance, in Colorado, that is usually the first 3 letters of the license plate number. So don't remember the first 3 letters of the plate. You will probably see a lot of plates on the road with that prefix. Remember the last 3 digits. You also need to be able to quickly identify the subject car if they pull into that busy parking lot so you can easily ID it among 1,000 other cars. So try to find those identifiers early. Now, follow at a distance, but not too distant, and follow closely, but not too closely. Yep, that's right. Follow at a distance and follow closely. The separation between you and your subject vehicle is going to be dependent on a lot of factors. The busier traffic is, like in rush hour, I am sticking to my subject like glue on a freeway, an interstate, or a major highway. It is way too easy to lose them in a crowd of cars. And trust me, if you are following a bright green SUV, you will have 4 other green SUVs around you all day long while you are on mobile surveillance. If I am following my subject in a rural setting, I pull back a ways. How far? Well, it's going to depend. If it's a rural setting, I may be a half mile back. If I'm out in the flatlands on the prairies, as long as I can see the vehicle ahead of me most of the time, I'm probably okay. If they pull off on a gravel road or a dirt road, I'm probably going to see their dust cloud going down the road, and then I can follow that. As a town or a major intersection comes up, I close that gap a little bit. I don't want to have to go 80 miles an hour into 65 to get there, so I want to be watching ahead of time. Now, I have a GPS unit in my car. Yep, I'm old-fashioned. I still have one of those GPS units, and that comes in really handy. I can watch my GPS unit for intersections and towns. All I got to do is zoom it out a little bit.